Despite claiming to be a Terraria veteran, I've never actually beaten Master Mode in a legitimate playthrough, so I finally decided to step up and get the job done by creating a playthrough series in which the goals are pretty simple. Number 1, beat all the bosses and events, and number 2, beat the final boss for the first time in Master Mode. I may introduce other challenges as the series moves on, but these are the basics. And I'm playing with a few mods, however most are quality of life or only slightly affect gameplay. I'll leave a list in the description. As soon as I spawn in, I immediately start exploring the world in search of some early game loot. Not too far from spawn, I find a cave with some decent items and supplies. A little deeper into the cave, I find items like a boomerang, a step stool, and a band of regeneration, which I will happily add to my inventory. I also find quite a few life crystals, which I use to boost my max health. However, not long into my mining session, I end up getting jumped by a bunch of slimes and get sent back home. Back on the surface, I start to explore the left side of the world, where I stumble on the world's living trees. I find some decent beginning loot, and decide to use the life crystals I picked up earlier. There were quite a few chests in the area, so I got quite a lot of living tree loot. As I left the living tree, it was starting to become night, and zombies started to spawn. Despite fighting for my life, the zombie horde kills me, and in the death screen, I notice an interesting looking item drop from the sky. And so when I spawned back in, I was absolutely determined to find that item, even if I had to fight through the entire horde of zombies, and there's literally one right outside of spawn. The Dream Clicker was my first encounter with the Clicker class mod, and so I was very entertained while using it, and it actually ended up being a very important weapon in the early stages of the game. With my newly acquired weapon, I decided to find the jungle of the world and try to find some good loot. Very quickly I found lots of heart crystals, so I used them in order to increase my max health. But after getting too greedy in my search, I end up getting ripped apart by a jungle slime and a man-eater. As I was sent home, I decided it was time to build some NPC houses at spawn. After building the houses, I decided to craft up some iron armor for a little bit of defense, as it's nice to have in Master Mode. With my new gear, I decided to head back to the jungle to handle the unfinished business I had. And I started to find heart crystal after heart crystal, which allowed me to become very healthy very early on in the game. After a while, I decided to head home and craft the blade of grass with the jungle materials I was collecting. And wasting no time, I decided to get back to exploring, and I found water walking boots and dune rider boots, which are great pulls. And after a while of looting, I get a notification that a blood moon was rising, so I used a recall potion and fought the blood moon enemies throughout the whole night. Once the blood moon was over, I crafted some crowns to make the king slime summon, so then I could take on my first boss of this series. And after a quick trip to the Crimson, I made the boss summon and prepared for my first fight in this world. After quickly drinking some potions, I was excited and ready to take on the king slime. I figured the fight was going to be light work, because I was making really good progress and I started the fight really well. So I was thinking, this is going to be really easy. However, wasting no time, I started the second attempt, and here's how it went. With the king slime under my belt, I placed the relic down as a symbol of my triumph. However, I wasn't quite satisfied with just one boss defeated, so after some quick remodels, I decided to summon the Eye of Cthulhu. After a close fight with the Eye, I craft the Blood Butcherer and immediately equip the Shield of Cthulhu, and in celebration, I place the Eye's relic right above the King Slime relic. After the eventful night of boss fighting, I start to travel and I find the world's dungeon, and immediately afterwards I get the idea to go to the Crimson to try and fight the Brain of Cthulhu. In the Underground Crimson, I start building a quick and easy boss fight arena before smashing the orbs to take on the Brain of Cthulhu. Because of how the fight went, I decided I wasn't yet prepared to fight the Brain, so I fought the King Slime for a drop I didn't get the first time. The item is from the Clicker mod, and it's called the Sticky Keychain. What it does is it creates pools of slime when you click, and I thought it might be able to help me beat the Brain of Cthulhu. But a goblin army started to invade the world, so I tried it out on the goblins instead. The keychain ended up working really well with handling large groups of enemies, so it was a very good drop to get in preparation for the Brain of Cthulhu. With that in mind, I went back to the Crimson to give the Brain a rematch. With the tissue sample and Crimtane I obtained from the Brain, I crafted the Deathbringer pickaxe and the Crimtane armor for a pretty large upgrade to my current gear. For the rest of this video, I used a mod item that reveals the location of the floating islands, and I didn't really find anything I wanted other than the shiny red balloon. If you made it this far into the video, then I just want to give you a big thank you. This video is a big deal for me as I haven't uploaded in, well, a whole 2 years. Oh! But this video is also my first full-length video, so it was a lot of work and learning to put together, so if you enjoyed it, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions or tips. Other than that, thanks for watching.